Well, I'm excited to welcome Dr. Kevin Elko to our Chicago private client office here. And, you're someone that I followed for some time. Being a former basketball player, it's very exciting to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, just for some background, I see that you're an author, you travel across the country to speak, and you also are a psychologist. Tell me a little bit about your background and, how'd you bounce around and be able to find where you are now?
As a young age, I was just fascinated. I heard somebody say this recently at a graduation, one of the commencement addresses. He said, "Don't be passionate, be fascinated." And I thought, yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. And early on, I got fascinated on how people either use their mind or get used by their mind.
Right.
And I really got fascinated by how some people use their mind as a friend mm-hmm. and do things like beat cancers. You're talking about, in your family. Mm-hmm. Do things like win. Do things like become great, become a great partner, great parent, great spouse, and how other people get owned by their mind and they don't.
Yeah.
It first hit me, my grandmother got a real rare form of leukemia. And they told her she had a week to live. I was in my teens. And I went to see her and she goes, "I'll go when I'm ready." And she lived like 4.5 years. So I'm thinking, that doesn't make any sense. And I realized that our mind and the way we choose to think or practice is a very powerful thing, but something that isn't really utilized. Mm-hmm. And so what we did with New York Life Investments is we came out and tested. We tested like these top financial advisors from those that were not. Mm-hmm. And we found out that more than anything, their mind was very different in a few categories. Mm-hmm. So early on, I got fascinated, I guess I would say, with that whole area. And I guess I would say I was more, people say I'm blessed. No, I think I was favored to do this life.
Right.
So it's pretty good.
That's awesome. And so I know you talk a lot about winning. And given, that we're in this new office, we're excited about Chicago. Talk to me about, the winning mindset and building a winning culture. I know you spent some time with some championship teams and what separates them from the average team.
What a winning mindset is if I say to you or you say to me, "I'm coming to dinner," we have a dinette set. I always start with breaking down a word. So what does that mean? Mm-hmm. We have a set, plates, dishes, to complete dinner. Right. If I say I have a croquet set, that means in my backyard I have a set where we can go play croquet. So let's break the word down. What is mindset? Because I don't think we're going deep enough. Mindset is this is a set, just like here are my plates, here are my things for croquet, here are my organized set of thoughts that I'm taking to win.
Right.
And so it's a set. And here's a phrase, set your mind and keep it set. Mm. So when you talk about mindset, mm-hmm. listen close to this phrase. There's almost 1,000 ways to lose. Very few ways to win.
Wow.
There's 1,000 ways to lose.
Wow.
And really what it comes down to is just a few statements. Here's the first one. Live in vision, don't live in circumstance. They're not concerned with the circumstance. They're constantly in a vision.
Right.
The second one is they asked Gandhi's wife one time, why was he great? She said every one of his thoughts, every one of his actions, and everything he spoke were aligned. So now once you have your vision, your actions are aligned with the vision. Mm-hmm. The other thing is you need to have a mindset, a set of thoughts that bring you back after a setback or change.
That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest one.
Yeah.
And the research is coming out now, and what we're trying to do with all of our work at New York Life Investments is make it empirical. I mean, I don't want to hear I don't want to be philosophical. I would not go to get my ACL done with somebody who's has a philosophy. I want to know that you studied how to do that. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the studies on people that are winners, right. Their mind works very different when a setback happens. Their mind and thoughts are very different. Their set of thoughts right. when there's change.
Right.
The third one, connection. Wow. Those are the three areas. So their mind is set on vision. They ignore what isn't a vision. Their actions go throughout the day, bang for the buck on that vision. They have a mind. So what, now what? They have things they say to themselves. You've got to get clear that what causes what we feel is what we think. You could change what you think.
Yeah, at any time.
And the last thing was the power to connect.
Wow.
And they do it.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. Being a former basketball player, I know you spend time with athletes. There's times where you're in a game or you see a game and you can just feel the shift. You can feel when that team's probably not going to come back. Or you can look on the sideline and you've got some winning leaders on that team. You can look in their eyes, whether it's a all-time great, and you just know this is not over until it's over. And so what are some daily practices that someone can do to have that mindset or to work on that mindset?
First, get a daily practice.
Yeah.
And here's the power of a daily practice. And here's the mistake we're all making.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me about culture. Let's talk culture.
Mm-hmm.
They went down to Africa, and there was a tribe that spun a bone. When the bone stopped on them, a ritual, they dropped over dead. What? So they go, you got to come see this. So they went and took a group of doctors, and they spun the bone. Mm-hmm. It happened just that way. They gave them permission to do an autopsy. You know what they died from? A self-induced heart attack from fear. They believed that ritual so deeply.
Wow.
They lived it, they died it. Culture is you repeat something and believe it so deeply. Mm-hmm. And most places have an unintentional culture. They're not shaping it on purpose. And so it's really kind of like this. Let's just say this room is a big plot of dirt, and every day culture, we plant green beans, it's going to grow green beans. If we plant nothing, then our culture, if we plant corn, then the culture will be corn. If we plant nothing, we've got weeds. It's, I don't know, whatever you dropped in here. Most places, if you're not intentional, you're growing weeds. And that's small thinking, that could be hate,
right.
That would be judgment, that'll be racism, that's whatever you picked up on the street.
Yeah.
But if you're not shaping it constantly, and I just got off the phone with Nick Saban, we talked every day, 5, 6, 7 minutes, but nothing but culture and cutting away what wasn't culture. That's all we worked on. Nonstop.
Wow.
And so you're planting it. So when you say a practice, okay, your mindset is a muscle. Mm-hmm. So I was jogging out in San Diego, Torrey Pines. I fell and I ripped a muscle. So I haven't been doing the exercise for about a week, okay? Well, I could see some of the muscles I haven't exercised in a week changing, right? Every 72 hours, if I'm not practicing it, I'm going to weaken. Mm-hmm. So culture is something you say and you practice over and over and over till you get wired with it. And our minds are very plastic. So somebody who, like you, has a complex, has the unbelievable presence somebody has like you, you're going out constantly, and here's the phrase, you're constantly planting grass, you're not pulling weeds. Wow. I think the biggest culture we have right now that we're practicing is offended. Mm-hmm. Everybody's offended because we're practicing. That's the culture of the day. And so what I recommend doing is, what do? I get up 15 minutes a day, and I'm practicing, and you have to have your way of going into the mental gym.
Yeah.
But I'm going to practice what I'm going to think and did this morning, what I'm going to think and say to get ready for the day. And that's what I did.
That's very impressive. My wife thinks I'm crazy because I wake up at 4:30 even on Saturdays and Sundays, and to me it's just a normal day. It's
Right.
Monday from Saturday is the same, and keeping that mindset and those routines. When you think about how athletes perform as a professional, it helps you know how you can attack your day, the energy levels, what you
That's
eat,
right.
tracking everything, and going from there. So, a lot of teams win the big game, and you see that they have a setback the following year. And there's other teams that create dynasties, and I'm sure you know a few, you've worked with a few, and they're sustaining greatness. How hard is that?
I think it's very hard. I don't know how accurate this is, but I read where they used to give an award called the Malcolm Baldrige Award, which was an award you gave to a company that had quality, which was like measuring how well we did things. And the President of the United States gave that award every year. And then I went on to read that few of those companies had a successful bottom line the next year. And we were talking, my friend here, John, and I, about how I've not seen, I'll embarrass him. He's done very well with this, but I've seen very few people get awards and not think they are the award. And I think that it's a very challenging thing to do. So I've watched this industry, and I've watched sports. At Alabama, we barely got through, let me think what the team was, South Florida. Barely got through that game. Barely got through that game.
Go Bulls.
Barely got through that game. And everybody says they're done.
Yeah.
I don't know how to constantly pull this up, but they got into a phrase. And every time I've seen winning, and I've not seen this documented, I've seen this next thing. Yeah. They're going to phrase lank. We're going to let all the naysayers know.
Okay.
And now, if you watch behind it, it's not real dissimilar to what Jordan did, where he like, oh, you didn't speak to me at the restaurant last night.
Right. Yeah.
To be great, we're not talking good. We're not talking above average. We're not talking you're acceptable. You're talking great.
Yeah.
That's always sitting in there. There's something that makes it, don't take people personal, but find a reason to take the situation, this job personal.
Wow.
And if you win, I'm a vegan. I eat nothing with a mother, nothing with a face. I do HIIT training best I can. I've got a bad shoulder or a bad back now, but I'm doing the best I can. I meditate 3 times a day. Wow. They carried me out of my house June 5th, 2017. That didn't do it. That's not the personal part.
Right.
There's something I keep bringing back so to make it personal. It was my son who goes to Paul, who I was with last night.
Right here in Chicago.
When they carried me out on that stretcher, he couldn't look at me. Wow. I almost cried saying he couldn't look at me. So yesterday I was down here we went to Oodles and Noodles or whatever down there by McDonald's, and I got pad thai or whatever, and there was egg in it. It was my fault. It was on there. I didn't eat it. You said, a little bit of egg going to hurt you? I don't do that. I need discipline. Right. He's eating with me. So you almost have to pull it back. So let's get back to what you said. The Chiefs won it again, but Mahomes called it personal. He goes, they don't respect us. Mm-hmm. This is how they're looking at us. Mm-hmm. We're going to come back. Mm-hmm. I was with not one of your competitors, but a top competitor in Boston.
Yeah.
And they said, and I was telling the story yesterday, they said, this young guy, 30, number 1 in the office. So I went with the other guy I had with me. You're number 1? He said, my mother went to work as a machinist. Single parent, to put me and my 2 sisters at Boston University. Worked like crazy. 2 days before I graduated from Boston University, my mother died of a stroke. Wow. He goes, when I look at every one of my clients, man, woman, anything,
it's deep.
It's my mom.
Wow.
You have to, now I want to go back to something. We're not talking good.
No, we're talking the best, greatness.
They'll always find that. Yeah. And the one thing we're doing now is we're talking about, we interviewed the top 15 teams, and we're looking now at the 1%. Mm-hmm. They always got something. Yeah. They've always got, like this woman, Frances Perkins, watched women burned to death in New York City. She was a nanny. Wow. You know what her next job was? Because the doors were chained shut on this sewing factory. She watched it. You know what her next job was? Secretary of Labor for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Wow. That's what we call a come up.
It's always something.
It was personal.
Fire.
So after you win, you can lose that personal hunger. And Meg J, these 2 words don't go together. So as I say it, some people aren't going to be able to absorb it. Right. But Meg J at Virginia says something behind the great when she calls them super normals, pause of anger. Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King to Lyndon Johnson. Everybody's voting now. Wow. And we don't put those 2 words together. Yeah. When I was with the Eagles, we won it. You know why? Because Carson Wentz got hurt and Vegas said we wouldn't. So if you remember, they all came on the field with dog mask on, were the underdog.
Wow.
You got to somehow, in some way, make you the underdog.
Got to make it personal. Wow, that's so deep.
But you don't take people personal. I mean,
Right.
you've got to quit getting offended because then you won't ask for anything. It just, if you're going to walk around bitter at people, it'll absorb all your energy.
Yeah, take advantage. You have to take advantage of the situation.
But the situation's got to be personal. This is not a job
Right.
for mediocrity. This is not a job for, let me say it this way. This is not a job for somebody who wants a shadow career. This is somebody who has to have, for greatness,
Exactly.
a soul calling.
Absolutely.
You have to. It's too hard.
So this is a good segue. You know, the greats, and I've struggled with this in the past, where your identity becomes what you do, and vice versa. Do you notice that with the greats? They
Absolutely.
are who they do, or they try to separate from what they do from who they are?
No. What they do is I've tested every single NFL player that's come out last 20 years on something called a self-concept scale that we now use here. And I've not seen any of those do any greatness. They didn't see it. And when George Foreman beat Michael Moore 20 years his junior in Vegas, he said to himself where he came out, you don't break. Michael won every round. Michael's from where I grew up. He was a boxer where I grew up. He won every round. He didn't get George. George got me in.
Wow.
I have a neighbor that lived by me, Robert Corey.
Yeah.
I went up to, well, he was a financial advisor. He was on the planner side, got the 401k from a pharmaceutical company, Mylan, became the CEO and chairman,
Right.
rising up. I opened up the paper, 57 million one day.
Wow.
Robert's your neighbor. He goes, a raider was trying to buy us. Every day he could have bought me with a checkbook, our company. I got in the mirror, go, what's in you is bigger than what's outside of you. We won't be broken today. We're fighting. We're going. You've got to convince you.
Yeah.
You have to convince you that what's in you is bigger than what you're facing.
Wow.
You know, you have to. There was have you ever heard of Kathy Hughes?
I've not, but now I have.
All right. Well, Kathy Hughes, if you run up past the Mercedes Dome in Atlanta, if you go on the right side up, the sidewalk is the African American Walk of Fame. Tyler Perry's on there,
Okay, yeah.
and Kathy Hughes. Kathy Hughes goes and she wants to do she has an idea. It all starts with what if, and I love what we do in New York Life Investments. What if? So Kathy Hughes gets an idea. What if I ask people what they want in a radio station? And then I programmed a radio station, that's simple, to what they want. So she gets her eye on a radio station and she wants to buy it. Nothing in her pocket.
Yeah.
They want $980,000.
Wow.
She walks into 32 banks, and 32 banks rejected her with that proposal.
Wow.
33rd bank said, yes, she's the CEO of Radio 1 and TV 1. So here's my question. Did she see herself as somebody that was a loser? Did she see herself as timid? Or did she see herself as, I'm winning? And
Yeah.
so you live out the concept.
Yeah.
And what we've been doing with our studies is what we're doing, if I broke down what we're doing in New York Life, is we tend to manifest the view we have of ourselves. So I'm having a long talk with my son yesterday over dinner. And I go, Jared, guilt's a good thing. Guilt means what I did is wrong. If I speak something that's rude and it's oppressive, that's wrong. Shame. So to say what I did, we were talking about somebody that we knew that really didn't understand boundaries. And I said to him, I need you as my son to have guilt.
Yeah.
What I did is wrong.
Yeah.
I never need you to say who I am is wrong. So Kathy Hughes can walk out and say, should have done something different. But she couldn't walk out and say, who I am is wrong and I can't do this.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome.
So we found out, again, with this study we're doing, that we were programming this practice, I believe, in Philadelphia, and she asked herself one question all the time. And this is one behind greatness. How can we do this better? Now watch the first thing she said before she answered that completely. Mm-hmm. We can do this better.
Wow. Wow. So you see winners, we all have our moments where, teams restructuring, you're working through some obstacles. How do you get out of that rut? It's just to kind of stay on the topic you're on. Like, I had a friend and I was telling him, hey, you can have a bad day, maybe a bad week, but I would not allow you to have a bad month or a bad year. Leverage me if you can to get out of the situation you're in. But from your professional studies and working with athletes to professionals, any ideas there?
Yeah, you see people get in rut. A rut is basically judgment. And when you talk to athletes, when they get into a rut, their confidence, and we all have those, your confidence, your faith, it fades. Yeah. I have a book called Believing is Seeing, and my co-writer found there's a road in Canada, and it's northern Canada, and when the snow melts, it becomes mud. Mm-hmm. And there's a sign that says, be careful what rut you get into. You'll be in it the next 20 miles.
Yeah.
And the first thing I would tell you is, there was a baseball player, Mookie Wilson, and when he would get in a rut, he would say, I have to believe in something. So I'd say, he would say something like, I believe in birds. You got to start get your faith back.
Yeah.
You got to start, because it's real easy to start becoming somebody that loses their faith.
Yeah, you see it.
And so the first thing you've got to do is, they asked Aristotle Onassis, a very wealthy man, what would you do if you were broke? You're in a rut. He goes, I'd borrow $500 and hang out with wealthy people. You got to get with those people. You have to get them around you. Circle. And it isn't a good idea to get people that want to sit and commiserate.
Right.
Because now they're just taking you down that road. You want to get around people that are going to have a vision, that have been there. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a big self-talk guy. Mm-hmm. That's one of my doctrines. It's all meant to how you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And how do you get out of it? I have a phrase I use when I'm in it. And belief is everything. It didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I don't know how it happened for me. But you got to remove judgment, because, and I want to talk about even more about self-talk. You got to remove judgment, because if you start judging, you're going to sit in that rut. But somehow, they asked me one time, what do you think about adversity? I says, I don't believe in it. What? No, look, I believe you lose people you love. I believe there's injury. But if you really couch with something happened to you. So they carried me out of my house in an ambulance, June 5th, 2017. That event probably lengthened my life 25 years, because in the end, it changed my diet, it changed my exercise, it changed my meditation. So Arianna Huffington in the Huffington Post had an article once. She said, you have to say, somehow there's a plan for my life. I don't know how this is in the plan. And then she quoted the poet Rumi. Mm-hmm. You have to believe that life is stacked in your favor. And no matter what happens, I believe that.
That's powerful.
No, I believe that. Yeah. If something happens, I don't know how. Yeah. But as you you're doing a good job. And sometimes you look back and you go, I now see, I didn't see then, mm-hmm. but I now understand how this took me to where I am. And so if you just have that happen for me, I know I'm a radical. Yeah. But I believe that.
You know what really, I've listened to some of your videos and podcasts, and you say, so what, now what?
That's right.
And you go 1-0. Wake up today, and sometimes you can get caught thinking about next week, next quarter, next month, next year, and you wake up and it's Wednesday, your middle of the week Wednesday, just your regular Wednesday, and you just go 1-0 today. And I know a lot of times in our business, you're looking for opportunities, and sometimes they're right in front of you, but a lot of people just don't see them.
I'm really close and best friends with somebody in New York named Jen Tars, and we talk and coach mm-hmm. each other. And we were talking about the different change, even in the industry, everywhere else. And we finally said, is there really any safeguard? We all want certainty. Is there? I mean, really? I mean, did we see COVID coming? Did we see 2008 coming? And we so desperately want certainty. And I'm not really sure that's a good life, and I think we want this certainty. The only certainty you really have is to give everything today. That's all you have. And I would say, as you go through change, and we were talking, I said, Jen, the only real certainty we have is that we get the most out of today. Wow. And I love something else that you said. I had an uncle, 98 years old. He loved to talk about golf. He loved to talk about cooking. He loved animals. He would talk about growing up with so much imagery. And he was in a retirement home, and every time I went to see him, personal care home, he had people around him. He's blind. And I used to think, first thing I'd say, why are you so positive? What would he say? Well, if I'm not, nobody will come see me. That was interesting. And even that phrase, see me. And I realized that there were another set of eyes that this man worked through. So in Pittsburgh, I lived at this place called Nevillewood. It's fancy. It's ironic to me. I'm from West Virginia. I live there. I'm thinking I need a used washing machine on my front porch. But I've been talking about this blew me away. There were two men there who didn't know each other, but they were the talk of the crowd. They're from India. And this is one of the advantages, what we need in diversity. It's not just a good, right idea. It's a productive idea. I need somebody with diverse thought. Yeah. I don't need another Kevin Elko. He gets on my nerves as is. I need somebody new. So I'm a neb-nose. So I go, y'all billionaires. Watch what they said. They said, we did not come here with a penny. We did not come here for a job. We heard about America. Mm. We came here for opportunity. Wow. Now, what he said next they both said was a bit crushing. They said, we see this country different than people are born here does. Mm-hmm. Yep. We see opportunity because where we came from. Yeah. And y'all are angry, or you watch news programs to judge and to shut your eyes down. Yeah. There's a psychology phrase called inattentional blindness. And there's a part of our brain in the back called the reticular activation system. Mm-hmm. It is, you'll see 25,000 things today, but you get programmed into seeing those things that you've discussed, put in your mind, woke up and went over in your morning gym, mental gym class. Mm-hmm. And so inattentional blindness, so what I say is you speak it. My deal is one thing. I say a couple of things. One is go be a blessing, gives me an opportunity to do that. The second is that gives me a chance. Wow. That gives me a chance. That gives me an opportunity. Somebody says something, it wasn't kind, and I go, that gives me a chance to be kind back even when it doesn't make sense. Wow. We have found at New York Life Investments, and again, this is Jennifer Tarsney's research, we have found that the top wealthiest people really would like 25 touches from their financial advisor in a year. And 40% are considering going with someone else. Mm. And we do need to do the touches, the calls, talk one-on-one. But I also found that there are many different ways to get to people. And one of the things that we found when we went in to recently interview 15 teams, mm-hmm. that doubled, tripled, or quadrupled their production during COVID. They had, many of them, I think about 10 of them, had a media room like what you have. Very impressive. And I take all the pictures because what they're doing is they almost have their own TV production. Mm-hmm. And they're shooting out podcasts, they're shooting out infomercials, mm-hmm. they're shooting out directly to their people. Mm-hmm. And here's the beautiful thing. If I call you one-on-one, that's powerful, you have to do it. Right. They share those. Yeah. And in sharing those, they're going, wow, I'd like to do business with him. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. And they'll do it on all kind of different topics. But the biggest thing they do is they accentuate their culture in them. And attention span, we found, is 8 minutes and down.
Wow. Good to know.
They're short, they're consistent, they're intermittent, they're reinforcing, and they work excellent. So I really think what you have here is fabulous, state of the art. But I'm quite sure if you really want to be great, not good, this will be a version of this will be in every single big-time financial advisor's setup.
Awesome.
You know.
This has been phenomenal. So I have two final questions for you. Our audience is, some have just graduated college, some have been in the business 30, 40 years. What advice would you give someone starting today in financial services or starting their own business, or the 30 to 40-year-old veteran that's been doing this for 30 plus years and maybe they're stuck and they're looking to go to the next level?
The first thing I would tell you is the power of believing and faith. You have to believe in you. Mm-hmm. And I think when you hit these, a lot of times when they would come in our office, my office, they would present like they were depressed, but they weren't. Life has a number of crises. Mm-hmm. Children leaving home, hitting certain age marks, somebody ill, losing a parent. Mm-hmm. And crisis, of course, means death and rebirth. There's a lot of death and rebirth in it. But at that point, choosing to have faith. I love this book, The Alchemist.
That's a great book. It's a phenomenal book.
Watch this phrase. Watch this phrase in front of the book. If you want one thing with all your heart, the soul of the world will conspire to give it to you. So what's the soul of the world? What's he talking about? In Thailand, December 26, 2008, there was a tsunami. 288,000 people died. Mm-hmm. But before the tsunami hit, the elephants ran to the high hills. Before it hit, the birds flew away. Wow. The cicadas, now we're doing cicadas. Yeah. The cicadas flew away. Wow. There was a soul that they connected to. Mm. There were a group of people called the Bernese fishermen. They knew something was happening, but they sat there and died. But somehow a group of people called the Mokans tapped into it. Wow. They wanted it. They had faith that they could do it. We lose our faith, and we get bitter. And faith is something that we have to recapture. Wow. I have faith in him. I had you. When I sat down with you, honestly look at you, go, this is going to be good. You did even better than what I had, honestly, to have faith in it doing. Yeah. Faith is we talk about it, but I don't know that we completely practice it. When I'm young, will I prepare? Like if I prepare, good will come to me. Mm-hmm. My son, this was kind of wild. My son graduated to Paul.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, he got a month. But he was wondering how he was going to do in the film industry. And we got done meditating and talking about it, and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe on what we just talked, that it's going to manifest? Mm-hmm. He said 7. I said, okay, no, we got to redo it. Yeah. Let's redo it till it's a 10. Okay. We redid a 10. At noon, he had an offer by Amazon Movies, and he had an offer by Dexter. Wow. And so there's something there. Yeah. But when you say there's something there, let's go all the way around. If I really believe, let's say I'm 24, and I believe that something will happen, mm-hmm. and we're going to talk patience in a minute, do I prepare like it? Am I mentored like that? Am I able to be coached like it? Do I keep my vision and faith when I have a setback? Mm-hmm. Patience is an interesting phrase. We think patience, I'm going to just sit back and let it wait. Patience is, and this is one thing that we talked about, I'm going to do my process with all I've got, and I'm not going to get discouraged, pitiful, and poutful when the result doesn't get here. Do I have the faith to keep working for it to get here? And you know how we talk about the portal in sport? It's everywhere. It's here. Yeah. As soon as I didn't get what I want, I'm out. Yeah. No, wait. Hold on. So when I hit a part in my career, and I'm getting discouraged, then you have to encourage. And you have to do self-talk too. And it hits us. You have to go back and say, let me have the belief in my spirit, but let me now have belief in my actions. Mm-hmm. So watch this phrase. Don't think your way into acting, act your way into thinking. Go act bold. Go act like you believe. Get going.
Yeah.
And let me have it in one area. Go give it to someone else. Wow. I'm sitting up, I joined this country club last May. I'm sitting there and a woman comes up to me and goes, your last name Elko? I said, depends. She goes, I'm emergency room doctor because of you.
Wow.
Me?
Yeah.
I said, wait. I was a biology teacher. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't think I was very good.
Right.
That's not, but okay. I said, how'd I do it? To prophesize on someone else, you need to self-prophesize. She goes, it was my senior year and I got thrown out of course because I sing bad. She said, I didn't do anything wrong. He just told me, he was a curmudgeon guy. Yeah. He threw her out.
Wow.
She walked in my class that day and she said, I was low. I just got thrown out, so I was ready for anything. You took me out in the hallway and said, you understand osmosis, which I'm thinking, I don't even know what osmosis is. You're really bright. I said to her, do something with it.
Wow.
And she goes, I never forgot it. Isn't that interesting? So the first thing, go choose, don't feel, choose to believe. Mm-hmm. Like a Kathy Hughes. Mm-hmm. Then go act like you believe. Yeah. Then go believe in someone else. Let's go believe. You're going to hit a spot. Young people, go act like you believe. Go prepare like you believe. And go encourage other people. It'll come back. It will come back to you, push down, boiling over, and lay in your lap. If you hit a junction where you hit a wall, maybe good people, good husbands, good wives, sometimes go through divorce, and it hurts. Yeah. They lose people they love. It hurts. We go through crisis. Wow. Go choose to believe again.
That's awesome.
And then go act your way to it, like they said, Gandhi, speak your way to it. And you know what? Just say, I don't know why that happened, but you're Kevin Elko. That happened for you.
Wow. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today in our Chicago Private Client Office. We're very excited. This has been inspiring. I'm going to re-watch this video myself and take some of the nuggets away. But thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and congratulations to your son.
Thank you. It's there is nothing greater. Now you're going to make me cry. There's nothing greater than your kids doing well.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.